Good evening.
Good evening, council members and Airport Authority members. I want to touch on a couple things. First, I noticed Mr. Madison tonight used the term safer terminal. And I think that term, while there can be agreement or disagreement with the term itself, is a safe term to use. But I want to mention that last night at the council meeting, there was some discussion where really it wasn't safer, it was unsafe that was more referenced. And I think since you have a joint meeting, it's important that both bodies acknowledge that there is nothing unsafe about the Burbank Airport, that the TSA verifies, certifies safe every single year. A building is not old, so it's unsafe. It's not ready to collapse. Yes, there's a proximity issue, closeness issue with the runway. But let's not forget, after 9/11, the Airport Authority itself added out the terminal closer to that runway. So what we're talking here is people are saying safe or safety. They're not implying that the airport terminal and the airport is unsafe. Now, I've had 4 different people, because of last night's meeting, ask me why the airport hasn't been shut down since it's unsafe. That's an untrue statement, and I don't think anyone wants to go there. So I think that really needs to be clarified. Now, the substance of the matters. On the governance. At first blush, the governance and what's offered in the governance can seem very nice. But then there's something floating around Sacramento, and it's actually referred to as AB 1217. I would suspect everyone up here is aware of it. AB 17 is a state consideration. My understanding is it's not moving fast, and it's in some kind of committee right now, to actually make major changes to JPAs and what can be done in governance on JPAs. Now, the answer I may get from either group here might be, well, it looks like that's not going anywhere. I'm not satisfied with that answer, and I'll tell you why. I'm one who sat at council meetings 3, 4, 5 years ago, hearing how unwise it would be to take any money from redevelopment, because after all, that could end redevelopment. And redevelopment would never end. But most of you are on city councils. You know full well the state had the power to say, no more redevelopment, gone. Well, let's think about joint power agreements. Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena didn't form one. They couldn't form one. They had to have legislative action from Sacramento. Sacramento had to approve it. Hence, AB 1217. He who approves and controls can also continue to control. So one of my concerns with governance, although I'm not saying the ideas in it are bad, is the certitude of it. When in fact, there's been some JPA problems in California where Sacramento right now has in committee consideration to change the ability to change governance from how it was first set up and approved by the state. So that may be tabled, that may go nowhere. But the reality is the state's not considering it at this point for no reason. It's because of a problem. And as we all know, we talk about cities like Bell, there's been a proliferation of governmental agencies in California that have gotten the state's attention. So I'm not certain that any changes we do in governance have any kind of certitude in sense of long-lasting power when Sacramento could wipe that away in a flash. That's a concern I have. And I'm not saying it as an accusation to the Airport Authority. I'm just saying the reality is that's the world we live in. And Sacramento is looking at that kind of thing right now. Now, something I want to ask a question about, and I really want to ask that because both bodies are here. As I drive up Hollywood Way and I continue to look at it, the development agreement called for the leasees to be removed from the trust property, the B6 property, as of March 15th. Today is what? July 15th. An awful lot of them are still there. Now, my question is, why are they still there? And before we say how successful the development agreement was, it's actually kind of now ended, hasn't it? And when I drive up Hollywood Way and I see those leasees are still there, I can't help but to question how effective and how wonderful the last agreement really was. I think that needs to be addressed before we think we're going to enter into another agreement. you know, several of you I know are attorneys, and I'm guessing you'd tell your clients, hey, if you got a business agreement and they're not keeping the current one, I don't think we want another one. Thank you.